that photograph, to me, hand on heart, looks like the classic. I mean, for people listening who don't know the story, for Country Life magazine, a photographer and assistant were in Raynham Hall, a stately home, and they were set up for a photograph. They were like, Country Life, it popularizes and tells people stories about, fancy houses, and it did it 100 years ago and it's still doing it now. And so they were there in Raynham Hall, and they were all set up for a photograph of this, quite grand. I mean, not particularly spectacular, but a wooden staircase. And as they took the photograph, apparently somebody saw something. The assistant said, "Are you seeing that?" And the photographer took the big box, old-fashioned camera, exposed the lens, put the thing back in, flash went, and when the thing was developed, there's an image of this. You can see the staircase quite clearly, but there's, well, what you might, I suppose, reasonably call a smudge in the middle of the shot that's called the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, which is an apparition that had been described long before the age of photography, and then a photograph apparently caught the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. And when I look at the image, it looks to me like the classic image that you get of the Virgin Mary. And if I say the Virgin Mary, for most people that have got any kind of familiarity, at least with Catholic iconography, they'll probably get an image in their head of a woman, in a gown or cloaked, really, so that it's only her face and then long clothes, and maybe her feet or her footwear exposed at the bottom of the image, and that's what it looks like to me. So it does look like a superimposition of an image of the Virgin Mary, but out of focus and smudged within this thing. But I'm only saying that because that's when I saw the image. I've seen the image many times, and that's always what I think of when I look at it. Yeah. However, and it did. I mean, it comes at it came at a time, or during a period of time when stately homes were looking for income. Safari parks and motor museums and all sorts of things were being added to stately homes as times changed and aristocratic families could no longer afford these great piles without bringing in the public. And there was a period of time during which, there's a ghost here, there's a ghost there. People had amongst other things, as well as a scone and a cup of tea and a shot, a look at the lions and the giraffes, people might see a ghost. So there was all of that going on at the same time. And although Raynham never really has fitted that profile of the kind of stately home that was trying to attract the general public, all of that, it was all happening at around the time where that kind of apparition was happening elsewhere. And so I'm not particularly persuaded of that photograph. I look at it, I don't know, it's an image of ghostly. There's a ghostly image in the foreground of a photograph, but it's not. I don't find that to be the most compelling evidence. But my not being especially convinced by that image, and it is probably one of the most, if not the most famous images of a ghost ever taken in England. But my not being especially persuaded one way or another about the authenticity or otherwise of that image does not diminish and it does not in any way close my open-mindedness about other people's experiences in other places. And you know that the Raynham Hall picture is only one. We've all seen them. You know, there's stuff on telly all the time. Go, haunted this, haunted that, whatever glimpses of this, that, and the other. But bogus, if it is bogus stuff does not necessarily, does not in any way, does not in any sense mean that everybody else's testimony is unreliable.